How has changed choices impacted my life? Tremendously. Yes. I don't have a specific word, to say even how much it's impacted my life. I know I see a tremendous change in me. Just going, you know, just going back. I've been out for almost 3 years in July. So just going back and just thinking back, I saw myself in a dark place. No self-motivation, no energy to do anything. Basically, I had gave up on life, and I didn't see a way out of it at all. I felt like my family had abandoned me, friends. I didn't have anybody. I just felt like alone in this empty room. I started dating older men, just trying to fill that emptiness in me. So that led one thing to another, and I ended up marrying this man that, from the start, he said that I wasn't worth it. But I forgave him, and I continued with the wedding plans, and we dated like a year, so we decided, marriage was the next step so I could prove my love to him. And from that relationship, it was all about him. It was all about him, and that's how I found myself doing things that I never thought that I would do, just trying to please him. And I remember saying words like, I'm going to be married once and forever, and this is going to last, and I'm going to go through thick and thin or whatever we have to go through, but I'm going to be, by his side, and I'm going to show the rest of my family that you can be married only once and forever. So I try to be that model that, but it wasn't working out for me. He was abusive and verbally, mentally, physically, and I just allowed him to do all these things to me, and one thing led to another, and he was selling illegal drugs, and I remember just crying and saying, why do I have to do this? I hated it. I hated it with a passion, but I didn't find a way out. I couldn't run. I couldn't go anywhere. Found myself like locked in my mind, like there was no other solution to my problem but just to stick by his side and, pray that one day this will all come to pass. So yes, I think, it affected me a lot. My plans was to go to a shelter home. I didn't know Change Choices had a home. I remember calling Miss Ruth about a month before I got released. And I was ready to make a change. I have family that stays 2 hours away from here, but I was determined to just focus on me and just do me for right now and just recover from, all the hurt and pain and suffering that I was going through. So I called Miss Ruth and I said, Miss Ruth, it doesn't matter where I stay. I'd rather stay in the shelter than go back home. And I said, could you please help me look for a shelter home so I could go stay there? And she said, no worries, I have a place where you can stay. And I was like, you do? Like, where? That was my question. And she said, don't worry about it. She said, just focus on you right now and, don't worry about it. I have it all taken care of. So I was like, okay. So that night, Miss Sylvia went to pick me up and took me to the grocery store after I got the 2 apples. She said, okay, it's time to go home. And I was just thinking, like, where am I going? I was thinking, maybe I'm going to this old place. I didn't know where I was going. So she pulled up, and I looked at the house from the outside. By this time it was like 4 in the morning. So I looked at the house and I was like, is this really where she's bringing me? This must be her house or something. And she said, welcome home. And I looked at the house. It was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I was like, am I really going to stay here? She's like, yes. And I said, is this your house? She's like, no, this is Change Choices home. And I was like, just shocked, just amazed. I was like, this is gorgeous. This is such a beautiful house. So many things come to my mind. And I know one of them is I was always ashamed of people looking at my record and judging me by that. And that was one of the hardest things for me to overcome, was how people looked at me and what they saw. And I think for me, being Hispanic made it harder. Because I always thought people would say, well, she doesn't belong here, she should be deported, or she should be in this country at all. And with having a record made it harder for me to overcome it and just see myself as not being that record or that Hispanic that needed to be deported. I think what I would like to I'm sorry. I think the message for me that I would like to share, or people to see in Charlotte, would be, that not every Hispanic has to be deported, that we deserve a second chance as well. And we also make mistakes that I truly regret. That if, I could go back in time and change, I would, but I don't. But I can say that it's made me such a better person, such a strong woman, and I just feel like a new person, and to look at me as what I am today, and I think I'm successful and very blessed to be here.